big transactions that happened in the NFL free agency so far. We have first off the big one from this past like a day or so ago. The Bengals I've reportedly tied up not just Jamar Chase but also T Higgins. Numbers Higgins is still not out yet, but I know Jamar Chase got him is not the highest paid non-quarterback ever in the history of the NFL.
Which was previously held by Myles Garrett just like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I'm a little stunned this happened mainly because of the fact that, let's be real, we know the history of the Bengals and Mike Brown's the owner. Pretty cheap, worst food in the cafeteria, worst gym in the league, worst stadium probably in the league. You name it.
They're still buying their own sodas. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know what? And guess what? That would not surprise me. It would not surprise me. But the fact that he tied up I don't think it's arguable. I think they probably might be the best receiving tandem in the league. Give him a grade.
So there's so many things to attack with this signing. You make the statement of best tandem. I'm not prepared to rule that out, but I would like some time to review because there's been a lot of movement. There could be some other things going on. So many receiver cores are completely different now. Like, just take the Seahawks, for example. They've completely revamped their receiver core, but now they have Cooper.
But they ain't better than fucking T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, though.
Just relax. I'm talking about the movement, not the value. Just chill your panties there, Chief. Okay.
Sorry. Change.
You presenting that, certainly that's the bar, right? So we'll leave that at that. The downside, here's where I'm conflicted on how to grade this. It's amazing you kept all those assets in the building. You still don't have any fucking defense.
It's true.
So, our boy Mikey the Bernier,
Mikey B,
of the Huddle Up podcast, is all excited that they kept him, and that's great. You still can't stop anybody. And by the way, Trey Hendrickson may not stay in the building himself. So
he's not signed yet, is he? To anything, right?
I don't believe he is. No.
Right. So what grade would you give this one? I still give it an A because you still tie. I mean, the fact you tie these two guys up is amazing. Now, obviously, cap-wise could be an issue.
I don't know how to grade this. It's amazing that all of it got pulled off, but it wasn't necessarily great for the team.
I tell you what.
Pause it real quick. I got
to we're live. I mean, if I'm going to pause this, we're live, buddy.
We went live. Great.
We're live. We can't pause shit. What are you trying? You got a phone call coming in?
Yeah, I do. No, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
Okay. I'll tell you what. Don't grade anything. We'll just give like.
No, it's fine. But I'll say this. I'm going to call it a C because, like I said, it's amazing you pulled it off. But I have no idea how the hell it's going to help the team long term.
Correct. And that is actually the correct answer.
It's Brown investing in his investment. That is Joey Burr. And my bad, dude. I completely forgot we were live.
Get your mind right, buddy.
It's not like I perform any different, exactly, whether we're live or not.
So. Get your mind right, number one. Guys, we're also live on
Get your mind right, bro.
Podcast on YouTube.
For all the times
you promote my show here.
For all the times you use your children as an excuse. It's spring break, Humpy Bumpy. I got moving back over here. I had to get right.
That's next week for me. That's next week.
What do you want, a cookie?
Well, yeah, I do.
Somebody does it to you.
I finished mine last night, so I need more.
Oh yeah, well you could actually take metformin. You diabetic so and so.
Are you jealous?
A little bit, asshole. Next topic.
By the way, I'll start promote the show. We're actually live right now on YouTube at Earn Speaker Podcast on YouTube. We're live also on my X page / Twitter at Each Person 7. We're also live on Facebook on my Facebook page as well. Also, this show you can find on demand as well after we are done, and the podcast, of course, audio only on Earn Speaker Podcast across any podcast catcher. All right, next transaction I want to dive into.
My apologies for interrupting your plug, by the way.
No worries. Okay.
I'd literally just complained at you.
You want to hug? You want to hug it out later? Let's go hug it out.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Remember, you big fluffy bastard. I love you.
Okay, 7-5. Myles Garrett stays in Cleveland, buddy.
This is an A for me. A- at worst, because understanding the state of this franchise, keeping somebody who's a star in the building. Huge, absolutely huge. What they do in this draft with the number 2 pick might be the most significant number 2 pick we've seen in a while.
Yeah.
Will they get a quarterback? Won't they? If Tennessee decides on Shedeur, they won't. I would not be surprised to see them go Cam Ward. but they could just as easily go Abdul Carter and make their defense absolutely nasty, potentially the likes of which we haven't seen since the last Tomlin Super Bowl win, right? They could go Mason Graham and maybe inspire the same thing. Hell, I don't know. There's just so many ways they can go, but they need to decide on that direction. It's a good problem to have that the Browns have, but securing Myles Garrett was a big deal, calling his bluff, all of that. And I know everybody's like, with a number of deals out there, oh, they paid too much. Understand, folks, the salary cap is rising. Giving players of this caliber, be it the Jamar Chases, be it the Myles Garretts, being even the DK Metcalfs out there, everybody's bitching about that deal, to lean into the raised salary cap is part of some potential 4D chess that franchises are doing, and I'm not necessarily against it.
Yeah, I thought the only thing I would have said was that this might be the perfect time to pivot, to get where they're at as a franchise in terms of like the cap situation. Deshaun Watson's kind of on their cap because they were idiots to guarantee him the entire contract, and yes, they restructured and all that, but a chance to reset by trading your best asset in Garrett, get back like a first rounder, maybe even two, who knows? Maybe even think about trading the second pick in the draft. Who knows? Get more assets back for that. I thought they might have missed a perfect opportunity to really, really reset in a smart way.
I'm saying they're going to do that with Myles Garrett because the thing about a pivot, let's do our physics lesson, right? The thing about a pivot is you still need some fulcrum and level of force upon which to pivot, or with which to pivot from, I should say. So right. You need some sort of foundation, like, when you put stakes in the ground for a tent or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
It keeps things from floating away. Now, think of it as a screw in the wall and you're turning, like whether it's like a crank or a handle or something,
Right.
You still at the end of the day have Myles Garrett there, which there's something to be said. What are the three most important positions allegedly, right? The guy that throws the ball, the guy that protects the guy that throws the ball, the guy that goes after the guy that throws the ball.
Correct. Right.
So they at least have one of those three things set for a significant period of time in the future.
And he's 29, right? 29 years old, 30 years old ish.
I think he turns.
It doesn't matter at this point. But he's definitely in his peak. He's definitely his peak of his powers.
He is in his prime, which is why him getting that number does make sense. Yes.
Makes sense, but also you probably could have gotten the highest bidder on that one too. Also, like I said, I see both arguments. I'm never against holding your best player to your team, but if there's a chance to pivot, given where you are as a franchise, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to do.
Yeah, he turns 30 during the upcoming season, and the good news is like with his contract, such as I'm looking at it, it's more front loaded. I'll put it that way.
Okay, so they get out of the forest pretty early. Okay, cool. All right.
Relatively early, yeah. Like he's not really an awful like if they keep him for 3 years, the dead cap money is 15. Well, actually, no. Now that I'm looking at it closer, I might need more time to understand it. So
no worries. No worries.
But it looks like there's kind of a poison pill element here too. I have to think about. So
okay. Anyways. All right. Geno Smith to the Raiders, traded to the Raiders, and then signed an extension.
Sure. Pete Carroll doing Pete Carroll shit, man. This is why I was never fond of the Pete Carroll hire in Las Vegas. We keep talking about how Pete Carroll's old and out of touch and just doesn't know how to handle offenses in the NFL. And then he does this and we're excited about it. I don't understand. This does nothing to move the needle for the Raiders for me that I see. I mean, what is it that they actually accomplished here? I don't think they're better than the Broncos right now. I think they're still the worst team in the AFC West. This move did nothing.
That's not in the conversation. I think they're the clear worst team, right? I think right now you have 3 playoff teams in
the
division.
What does
and then the Raiders
Geno do? Yeah, I mean, it's not a mistake, but
it gives you maybe a win or 2 more.
And that does what precisely?
Nothing in that division.
Moving on.
Where everybody's at now. So, also in addition to that, DK Metcalf, also the Seahawks traded to the Steelers, then signed a 6-year, $150 million extension.
Yeah, and I
Interesting.
cited him early. As much as people like, oh, that's too much, you could tell that the Steelers are leaning into two things. A, having a guy into the future, which if you think DK Metcalf's too old for that, fine.
He's
Um,
only 27, I think. 27, 28.
I'll look it up.
No,
But
no, 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 I know that's what it is. I did it last night research.
okay, well then
Yeah.
perfect. So he's in his prime, and you're what you're setting up is for another guy alongside of Pickens to set a foundation for the quarterback you might get. Now, I don't think what that answer isn't in this offseason, right? This is the Steelers retooling rather than rebuilding, and they'll probably make the playoffs again, right?
Because the Steelers and Mikey T is Mikey T.
You know, but I think they, and I don't know who it is, but I think they're looking for the next quarterback in the upcoming draft. Well, whoever that might be.
Well, depending on where they land on that. Yeah. To me, I look at it slightly different than you a little bit. I agree with most of what you said there, except the fact I think this is also sayonara to George Pickens, whether or not it's after this year or they trade him before the year's over. Because I think after everything we heard with George Pickens in the locker room, they don't normally do these kind of splashy deals like this. So for him to go out of the way to do this is bad news to George Pickens.
Yeah, you are right. It is atypical, and I can't find any details on his contract. But yeah, he turns 28 during the season, so
Right.
that certainly serves your point well.
Right.
But it might be something to light a fire under George Pickens' butt too. I mean, here I feel like both these sides need each other. They're just staring each other down as to realizing who needs the other more.
Right. Fair point. Fair point. All right, we got Devontae Adams going to the Rams. He got cut by the Jets, and then he still got paid 2 years, $48 million. I think it was.
Yeah, I like it.
I love it. I love the deal.
It's 2 years, which if we see John Matthew Stafford last 2 more years, I will be surprised. Alongside Puka Nacua, this writes itself, man. Probably my favorite receiver deal that I've seen so far.
Yeah, Stafford re-signed with the Rams, which obviously was an angle to get more money. And, of course, Devontae Adams, 2-year deal. It fits the timeline for the Rams. The conversation now about that is, does this move, added with Stafford, make the Rams, if not number one in the NFC, because I think we'll agree to the Eagles is with a bullet.
It gets them to win the West.
Yeah, I think the West is a lock at this point now. Let's see where things are going. All 3 of the teams.
Ain't nothing about that damn.
We'll get there. We'll get there in a second. But yeah. I think this move for keeping Adams, signing Adams, keeping Stafford. Yeah, you lose Cooper Kupp. I get it. Injury prone though. But also seeing what we saw last year with that defense late in the year. I think they're in position to be the second best team in the NFC right next to Detroit.
They're in the conversation. Yeah. Now, I don't know that they are built to survive a marathon. Right. There's a lot of injury-prone dudes.
Oh, yeah.
But the good news is that defense is young enough to where that's less of an issue. Yeah. I think Adams over Kupp is an upgrade. Adams is familiar with LA, blah, 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 blah. I mean, the only downside for him is the taxes. Am I right? Yeah. But I feel like offensively they're on thin ice. You know, so granted, all of this is without them augmenting themselves through the draft. They may actually solidify some things. And the great thing about the Rams is you essentially don't have to concentrate on defense. I'm sure they could fill some needs. I'm not here to say they're perfect.
Yeah.
But you can now focus, tool up in the draft, and have John Matthew Stafford lead this group. Puka Nacua is old enough to where he could be an example. Devontae Adams also the same. Hell, if they can provide adequate protection, this is a challenging group and certainly the favorite in the NFC West at this juncture.
Well, stay in the NFC West. Sam Darnold signs with the Seahawks.
That's fascinating, isn't it? The irony of the fact that we've established when you provide Darnold support, he can win. Seahawks aren't prepared to support him like he needs.
This is a sneaky. So this is a sneaky rebuild kind of situation because basically if we were to read what we've heard the last couple of weeks, Gino wanted more money He won something in the $40 million a year range.
which is
Seattle-
asinine.
Seattle told him no. You're allowed to ask. It's okay. Told him no. And then they trade Sam Darnold. They trade Geno, get assets back. Obviously, you sign Darnold here for less money they would have paid Geno.
Right.
Okay, so they save money on the quarterback by about $10 million a year. Okay, and they get a chance to still kind of tinker around the edges and see where they're at as a franchise.
That's a very optimistic outlook.
But are they any better than they were last year? No. At best,
Well, that's the issue. Darnold is useless unless you already have the foundation, right? A better arrival point might have been, for example, like a San Francisco, who ironically he's already played for, right?
Yeah.
I don't think San Francisco would have paid him what he wanted, knowing what they know about him, right? And just there's so many other factors there. I think another better example might be, let's say, who's somebody that was. This is hard. I think Minnesota was the best landing spot, but I get it if you didn't want to pay him.
Yeah, especially given the fact that they have the quarterback behind them, who they just drafted high last year. They got to see where we're at with that one. So I get it.
That's a whole other question.
Yeah, Najee Harris to the Chargers.
That's interesting. Seeing what Najee Harris can do with a Harbaugh is fascinating. And I'm not just saying that from my boy, Big Jim Neese of Huddle Up Podcast.
So we're doing that now. He's now officially a Chargers fan. We're done with the Cowboys, right?
How the fuck is that new?
No, I mean, like
first of all, we've already established, Ernest Christian, that you can't spell Jim John Harbaugh without I am a homer. Second, excuse me, James John Harbaugh.
James John, right?
You can't spell I am James John Harbaugh without I am a homer. Okay. Second, this dude's wearing a Charger hat on his fucking show.
No, I get it.
It's out of the bag. Who's got it better than him? Nobody.
Also, you see that stat also too, that Najee Harris is only the 5th running back in this century to rush for 1,000 yards for 5 straight years, in company with Chris Johnson, Adrian Peterson, LaDainian Tomlinson, and Clinton Portis.
Boy, he did that quietly, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Now, having said all that, the Steelers, I know that I would not pay a running back unless your name is Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry. I'm not paying you more than $10 million more a year. Now,
especially with this upcoming draft class,
right? And with this is what I think the Chargers actually won this deal too. Also, yeah, it's $10 million a year, but it's only 1 year. It's just 1 year, and they have boatloads of cap room.
Rental is good, but and can you imagine how excited Harbaugh is going to be to open that present, man? Just saying.
Right. Also, the Chargers, Khalil Mack stays with another year. The Chargers for I think 1 year, I think $14 million. Again, they got cap room to spend.
I'm surprised they were able to hold on to Mack. Yeah, that's a big deal. But they need somebody. They're losing Bosa, all that.
Right. And I think also it might be also because of the culture. Harbaugh's setting the culture there now. I think players love playing for him, so maybe he wants to stay there and try to look. I think the Chargers have a real chance this year to win the West and maybe make some noise in the AFC. Because KC, we expect KC to be a little bit, not say a downturn, but KC is definitely vulnerable right now.
Why? What makes them more vulnerable now than they were last year?
I don't think they've got the roster got any so far anyway. The roster got any better than last year's.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't like they separated themselves from the pack in a big way.
But this is a point we made last year. When you're a Super Bowl team, how do you make yourself better? And this is why I made 2024 one of the Chiefs one of the best off seasons in just maintaining that greatness they accomplished a butt ton.
And a little older too on the edges too. Not saying Mahomes is old, but Kelsey's back next year. He's a little older, still good, but older.
I am not prepared to say anything about the Chiefs' dominance waning until I see their draft.
Right. That's what I'm holding up too. Right.
Yeah, on a dime. Because he's done it before. Andy Reid can transform the franchise.
Yeah, I agree, and that's what I'm saying. I stopped short of saying it's going to happen. I'm saying there's opportunity there. I think
that's the only dime we've ever seen transform a franchise for the better. Am I right? Got him.
And in the transaction, I called the best transaction of this offseason, Laremy Tunsil to the Commanders.
That is not the best transaction of the offseason.
I am surprised you're saying that.
Did you see how many picks they threw at? They did. You know how the Commanders got Laremy Tunsil, which I'm glad they did it. Let's be clear. It was
Okay.
your wording I dislike.
Okay.
It was not the best transaction.
They gave
The
us much for him, you
Commies
think?
overpaid for an aging tackle who at one point in the season last year led the league in holding. Okay.
Okay. I'm looking up the stats here real quick.
I
in terms
didn't,
of, like,
and he may be, he's probably like in the,
he's 30.
he's in the late part of his prime, right?
He's 30. He's 30.
That's aging in NFL years, my guy.
Well, even that position, I'm not saying it wrong.
Listen,
I'm surprised though, because you are a O-line
Tom,
guy.
You're goddamn right. Let me land the plane here. This is my house. Let me show you the credentials again for those who haven't seen the Aaron Evans original of me and my offensive lineman glory. I got this, okay?
Yeah.
You know, hey, listen, I just did a mock draft for the Jacksonville Jaguars that you could check out on Twitter where I had 4 offensive linemen in that sumbitch. Granted, I had like 12 picks because I did a lot of trades, but I digress. The punchline's this. Actually, yeah, you saw it this morning. It was in the text group with me and my our friend GWSTWALIO. So, shouts to G Stelio.
Mm-hmm.
I know why they did it. Clearly, their weakest point. This is the team that used to have our boy Trent Williams, right? They're trying to get Jaden Daniels a fraction of that protection, which is still a butt ton, especially in a division that features your defending Super Bowl champions who completely emasculated Patrick LaVon Mahomes II.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
With all of that, they overpaid. That doesn't mean they shouldn't have overpaid, but they overpaid.
You also have the cap room and the space to do that, because when you nail the quarterback in the first year, who's probably a top 5 guy in the league right now, and all the cap room they have the space to make all these flashy moves now.
And let me rephrase, by the way, when I say overpaid, I don't care what the contract is that they end up giving Tunsil. That's not, by the way, I'm a Larry Tunsil guy. Mm-hmm. Was super excited to get to cover him back when I was with Antoine Staley at the Dolphins Wire. Okay. He made Ryan Tannehill productive in Miami. Just throwing that out there. So, all that being said, I think when I say that the Red Tails, Commanders overpaid, I mean with the trade, and they threw 4 picks at them, buddy.
No, I get it. No, I totally get it. All right. Max Crosby extends with the Raiders. So another Myles Garrett type situation.
Yeah, indubitably. I like that better than I like Geno. That's easy. That's easy. Right. Because if you're going to succeed in the AFC West, you have to disturb Patrick LaVon Mahomes. Can we just examine the quarterbacks in the division quickly? Right?
Yeah, go ahead. Right.
Patty Mahomes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Justin Herbert, even though everybody's decided they want to crap on him now. Your boy Bradley set that up, by the way, wasting years off of his career. Then is Bo Nix third? I think so.
Yeah, and on the come up too.
Yeah, somebody's going to get angry at me and call me some sort of a political, ist of some sort that I said that, but prove me wrong. By the way, them acquiring Evan Ingram, sneaky good.
Wait, who did that? The Broncos?
Yes.
Oh, that's sneaky good.
See? And you're over
here. Because they're healthy.
This is the best coach. No, it's not. No, it's not.
No, everyone when he's healthy, Giants drafted him. He's a good player when he's healthy.
Keep in mind, your boy. Well, he's not your boy. You're not a Giants fan, but a Giants fan's boy, Evan Ingram.
Calm down.
Had a career year with Trevor Lawrence and that Doug Peterson offense.
Yeah, I know that.
Imagine what he's going to do with a coach that spawned Jimmy Graham.
Yeah. Very good point. Very, very good point.
It's almost as if I've made that point already on the Duval Dive.
Aaron Jones stays in Minnesota 2 years. I think 40 million. I think 2 years, 20 million. I think it was.
Part of having a successful offseason is keeping your guys in the building. And nowadays you can say that about college football with NIL. Am I right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's a solid move. Keep that offense humming,
Yeah.
Obviously the big question is going to be the quarterback.
Balance is the key to making any rookie successful. I don't think that's a stretch.
Yeah, 2 years, $20 million. I was correct on that.
Right.
All right, Daniel Jones on the Colts. Let me tell you something right now. Very possible he'll see some playing time because of
Duh!
AR-15.
Came up with that one.
Between
Way to go
injuries and
on, live
play.
there, Ernest Christian.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Wow.
I mean, if you want to have a chance to reset your career and make the money doing it, 1 year, $14 million a year, going to Indy right now is not the best
guy
spot.
that got Gardner Minshew playing time. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And Joe Flacco.
Well, that's less surprising because Joe did what he did with the Browns the previous year. Right. By the way, Joe Flacco, 2 victories over the Jacksonville Jaguars as a backup as a starting backup. Granted, he split last year, but I mean, does it really count when you beat the Jags in Week 18 when they were obviously tanking for Travis Hunter? I'm joking.
Yeah.
No. But sure. Yeah. Danny Dimes is okay. Hot shot. Pop quiz. Over or under 3.5 games?
I might go over. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Guess
I may go over.
The safe bet is the over. Moving on.
Josh Allen signs a record-setting extension with the Bills. 6 years, $330 million. I think $250 million that's guaranteed. Obviously biggest contract in NFL history. To me, no surprise about the deal. To me, my question is more so set this market now. Who's next? Lamar, Pat Mahomes. They
both have deals already. Right?
Yeah, but but not to say they wouldn't time up for another couple of years to make sure
so
they
you're ready for the correct answer. Since you went and picked the obvious ones, you want the correct answers?
Go right ahead, brother.
C.J. Stroud, Jayden Daniels.
Yep. But I like the Josh Allen's top 3 guy in the league, MVP. So I mean, what are you gonna do? So I totally agree. Exactly. Yeah. Speaking of the Bills, Joey Bosa, we mentioned a little while earlier to the Bills, a 1-year deal. Is this the piece that puts them on top?
Absolute horseshit. It really should have been the Bosa brothers in San Francisco, and I'm incredibly angry that this didn't happen. No,
Homer.
Bro, come on. Deep down,
no, I get it. I get the narrative of it. I'm just saying that, Niner fan of Kyle here.
Sure. But the fact that you said, oh, it's okay. I mean, you allegedly hate the 49ers.
Allegedly.
You cheer for every team. You would have loved it too. Anyways, no. I mean, it certainly doesn't hurt. Right?
Yeah. I know that was Von Miller. I mean,
Von Miller, it was time. He's had a good career. He did what he did.
Yeah. Finally, DeAndre Hopkins, D-Hop to the Ravens. He wasn't that good in KC, though, to be honest with you. So
well, hold on. Let's be careful with that. First of all, he was only there for half a year.
Right.
And I think his job was more to school and perhaps give breathing room to the rest of the receivers. I don't know how healthy he may or may not have been, perhaps.
I mean, I'm open to him to be sitting in Baltimore with Lamar and company.
Let's be honest. There's a history of aging receivers making a significant impact.
Right.
In Baltimore, right? Anquan Bolden, Steve Smith, Odell Beckham Jr., right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's all the notable free agent signings and transactions for this offseason.
Sure glad I brought up Evan Ingram to you because, boy, you whiffed on that shit.
Everyone goes out of sight of the mind now for me. That's
your
guy.
Even though he had a career year, the moment it's a good thing you're not a Giants fan. You'd have been pissed.
I'm pissed that we lost him also too because he could have been a real good player in New York, but he can stay healthy. And I not like I didn't want him to be there, but just you can stay healthy, and they made a decision to do that. So
it would seem your Saquon bark is louder than your bite.
I can't stand you. Moving on. All right, shut up. Fix your face. All right.
Is that what I'm going to say next time you bring up the tooth gap?